All right, folks, welcome in. The Yankees sweep the Angels. Get on out of here. They're going to go play up against in a renewed little rivalry since, of course, they saw them in the World Series. They're going to be going up against the Dodgers the next 3 games. We're really excited about that. Unfortunately, if you're looking forward to Michael Kay covering that, he will not be doing that. That'll be on a bunch of a myriad of different, platforms. Check your local listings, not to sound like a boomer here, but but welcome in. Hope everyone is doing well. We got a fun show for you guys. Jazz Chisholm is playing third base tomorrow in his first rehab assignment. And then we also have some trade targets Gary and I want to discuss because the Yankees are looking for an infield target. And now that we know Jazz is going to be playing third in his rehab assignment, I think it's fair to open up the door to not only just third baseman, Gary, but also second baseman, as you brought up off air. So we'll be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about Clark Schmidt's great game from him, the game overall, and we'll wrap it up with Profit X picks and preview that Dodger game on Friday. So, Gary, this was a snoozer. I know it's weird. 1-0 games in the postseason, they feel like you're on the edge of your seat the whole time. You can enjoy them. Not really. They're not good for your heart, but either way. However, 1-0 games at the end of May, they don't hit as hard. So, love seeing what Clark did today. But if you told me Anthony Volpe's little sacrifice fly earlier in the game was going to be the game winner, I would have said, well, that's not going to be a fun game to cover now, is it?
Yeah, it was probably just the best way I could describe it. It was just, since we won, it wasn't a waste of time, but from an entertainment standpoint, it wasn't entertaining. It just wasn't.
No.
There was nothing good about this game. The umpires were terrible behind the plate. We'll touch on it later. But I want to get to this Jazz thing because there was something that stuck out to me, and obviously this is partly to do with what's happened with the Yankees, especially last year with Gleyber Torres, and the fact that we traded for Jazz Chisholm, and Gleyber Torres said, I want to play second base. I am a second baseman. I'm not moving. And I thought it was interesting that the broadcast today was adamant about that word choice of selfish. And they didn't call Gleyber Torres specifically selfish, but when they mentioned Jazz Chisholm saying that he walked in Aaron Boone's office and said, I will play anywhere, I just want a ring, that's what you want to hear. That's what every fan wants to hear about their players, especially a guy who wasn't playing well. When Jazz Chisholm, he knows how he played. He knows he was hitting under 200. He knows he was inconsistent. He knows he's let down this team in some capacity, not being available. But Jake, you have to love the fact that he's willing to walk into the office and say, yeah, my home position second base. The numbers pop off the screen defensively, but it seems like DJ LeMahieu's playing fine over there at second base. The hole feels like third base. And if I really had to tell you, Jake, what I think this is, I think this is a leverage play by Brian Cashman. Because if you really think about this, you walk into the deadline and you're essentially telling everybody Jazz Chisholm's just going back to second base. It's much harder to find a third baseman in this game rather than a second baseman. So what happens if you tell baseball, I'm going to work him back at third? Well, now you have the flexibility. He can always go back to second base, his home position, if he really wants to. And if he hones it in at third base, it's much easier to acquire second basemen. We're going to talk about a few of them, and I want to dive into those. What do you think as far as middle infield goes? Because obviously Anthony Volpe is going to be the shortstop of this team. It seems like Jazz Chisholm's going to slide over to third, and DJ LeMahieu being that guy who's going to lose his job. Who's that first guy that you really think is available? Because the guy I want to put, I'm looking at Bo Bichette. I looked at Baseball Savant. I've been eyeballing Baseball Savant. I really love this website because it tells you what to expect,
it's
what
amazing.
they're good at, and analytics sometimes go too far. I think Savant does a pretty nice job, but Bo Bichette is on a team. Really, he's in the American League East. I know a lot of people will say they wouldn't deal to us, and that's fine to have that perspective, but no team in the AL East is competing with us as of now. So as this continues on, you see that Savant page, he wasn't slugging. But now it's really the defense that's a step back, but that bat can play.
Yeah, and like the defense isn't great. He also wouldn't be playing shortstop for the New York Yankees. So if he was playing second base, well, now that is a little bit easier, right? So I think I get it. I do. He's 27. You know, I don't know what the contract looks like, which of course I can just look that up. But, you know, I get it. If they're looking to trade him, I think he'd be a good fit. And I think really what it comes down to is I'm going to have to change how I normally look at these things because, yes, he's in the final year of arbitration. He is going to be, he's essentially in a contract year. So he is a rental unless they want to bring him back.
It is tricky though, right? I mean, it's like if a guy is great offensively, he's great on the base pass, he's a great defender, he's got control, well, then people will tell us, well, why would that team trade him to you? There has to be some type of reason this player's lost some value that the Yankees feel like we can capitalize on. Because you have to imagine any team that would trade for Bo Bichette, your team defense better be stellar. What is the Yankees defense? Stellar. At least analytically speaking, our team can pick it. Paul Goldschmidt over at first base, he's elite. You've seen it. You saw it tonight. You've seen it all year so far, right? We obviously bring in Cody Bellinger. A lot of the guys we brought in on this team can help fill in some of these weaknesses of these players. Bo Bichette might be one of them. So obviously, I do see in the chat some people aren't thrilled with that. They want to talk about his flaws. Perfectly okay with that. But Mark, I want to get to this super. Says big shout out to JC Escara for channeling his inner Scott Sterling today. He took one for the team. He also had a foul ball off his thigh. That was brutal.
Oh my God. Also, he had like 5.
It was a brutal day back there, but I mean, he did his thing. And also props to Boone this series. Brilliant bullpen usage. He managed very well in low scoring affairs. So Mark, again, thank you for the 20 and supporting this channel. I would agree. Not necessarily that I thought the job that Boone did was perfect, because certainly I wouldn't have pitched Weaver in that game where we felt like, okay, now we're essentially behind the 8 ball the rest of the series. We're shortened in our bullpen. But you know who really answered the bell there, Mark, is our starting rotation. We have to give them credit as well. This doesn't happen without the starting rotation going length, and we'll talk about that more in depth later on in the show.
Yeah, I'm going to have a little bit of an interesting take here. And as you know, I'm not like a negative Nancy over here, but the Yankees got away with one today. They did. They put Ian Hamilton out there in 2 innings, and he just miraculously looked like old Ian Hamilton. They put Tim Hill out there. He looked like old Tim Hill.
This is
fair.
And
then Mark Leiter Jr. looked good, but that umpire, I don't know what he was calling a strike. We'll take it, but I think it's fair if you win a game on some BS, and I'm not saying they would have won the game had he not called that, but if you get rewarded a BS strike call like that, you have to at least be fair and acknowledge that you were rewarded that. So if you got a tougher home plate umpire today, like the one we just had, I think it was last night, I don't know if they win this game, Gary, because Mark Leiter Jr. wasn't all over the strike zone, like all over the, he wasn't everywhere, but it's not like he had the best control today either. Like he got some gifts, and also JC Escara did a really nice job framing, but I felt like, I felt good, but I think it's smart to understand that they got lucky today. They did. I mean, obviously Ian Hamilton was due to have a game like that, and then probably the next time they use him, he won't have a game like that. But man, the umpire tonight, he wanted to get out of there. That's all I can say.
The home plate umpire, Jake, the home plate umpire was Vincent Van Gogh back there, just totally blind. He didn't see a damn thing the whole game. And mind you, we won this game. More times than not, this happens in the NBA all the time. You hear about flopping. What really happened? Yeah, there was a lot of flopping, but that fan of that team that's talking about the flopping, their team lost. I feel we're valid here. We can talk about what happened behind the home plate today. The zone was nowhere close all day. And when you really want an indication of how bad an umpire is, just look at that bar that Yes Network gives you. If it says pitcher's umpire, it means he's terrible. I'm here to tell you right now, hitter's umpire means the zone is small. It's going to be tight. And that's just common sense. But a pitcher's umpire, by definition, if the needle is all the way to the side of pitchers, then that tells you he's calling outside, he's calling inside. And when you look at, and I saw the broadcast talking about what Clark Schmidt was doing today, and they're saying, well, he doesn't want to work inside. He doesn't want to work inside. Why would he work inside when they're calling 3 or 4 feet off the plate? And it wasn't literally 4 feet off the plate, but if they're calling pitches off the plate, we've seen this with Marcus Stroman. You locate a weakness in the umpiring, you need to attack it. I thought it worked brilliantly. The Yankees just happened to manufacture a run. It felt like a boring game in May, but we found a way.
It is funny, though, because it kind of changes your whole look on things. It's not to take any credit away, but when you have a game like this where you get gifted a lot of strikes that just simply aren't strikes, well, there was the other night, Devin Williams is throwing those same pitches. I thought they were even closer to the strike zone, and he's not getting those calls. So, yeah, it's interesting for sure. It is a reminder. You take it, you feel good about the win, but it's always good to at least address it and understand, like, just for next time. Like, if you complain about umpires, totally fine. We do it all the time. But I just say always try to be consistent with that and be consistent in calling it out when it goes in your favor as well. I think the umpire audit on Twitter tomorrow is going to be laughable, like the lean towards the Yankees, or just
It'll
rather
like
the missed calls. The missed calls are going to be awful. So that's just my thought on that. But
yeah, let's get Bo Bichette off the screen. I don't like this trade that much. I don't. I wouldn't hate it, but let me just get to the rest of my guys, and then you can obviously just rattle off your list. And one of the guys, actually, believe it or not, is on the mound. So this is somewhat of a surprise. I know we sort of thought, okay, Jazz, third base, second base, what are we doing? But one of the guys I'm looking at is Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom is pitching like Jacob deGrom. He's healthy. And that is something that we don't even need to look at Savant, really, because baseball Savant for Jacob deGrom is going to pop off the screen. It's always looked this way for him. So, well, apparently my laundry's done. But anyway, it's like you have to some degree, think this is more financial. And if I'm the Yankees and I'm trading for a deGrom, I need to see if he's healthy by the deadline. That's first and foremost. And second of all, there's a lot of money involved here. I'm telling you, if we're trading for this player, you're taking Marcus Stroman. So I might send you some prospects, but you're going to help offset some of this money, and maybe that's the way we do it. So, and then the last guy is the guy you popped on the screen there for a second, and is Eugenio Suarez. And a lot of folks will look at his batting average, and Jake, I know you mentioned he's got 15 homers. 4 of those came in one game. So I don't know if that's necessarily a positive sign or a bad sign. I don't know if it really means much, but I will say this. Defensively, he's not good at all. He's bad defensively. He's going to be bad for you at third base, but he's going to slug. And like I said before, sometimes a player's weakness, you can lean into the team's overall strength. I think that'd be the situation here with Suarez. But again, I wouldn't blame anybody if you're scared of the defense.
Yeah, the defense is horrendous. But at the same time, you're going to find that for the most part with any third baseman that's available at the deadline, because they don't call it glove, they call it bat, right? There are some guys that you can get as a glove, right? I mean, Ernie Clement is a good example. Now, will they trade him? I don't know, but he's not going to offer you anything with the bat, and he's going to give you like Gold Glove worthy defense. Same thing with Tim Anderson, who was DFA'd today or waived today or whatever the hell he was today. He's not on the team anymore. Tim Anderson cannot hit at all.
He's golfing.
Like, he's got, just real quick, just to show you, because now that we have it in front of us, we can. Yeah, he is one of the greatest fielders you'll ever see, but he cannot hit a lick. That is why he is not on the team right now. So just wanted to address this before people were like, what about Tim Anderson? Maybe he'd be a good fit. No, because the Yankees don't need gloves. They have plenty of defensive guys in the minors. They have plenty of defensive guys on the team. I think Bibas is a solid defender. I think Peraza is a plus defender. But right now it's adding another bat. And this is what Gary was saying at the beginning of the year. He's like, I'm not worried about the pitching. I'm worried about the hitting, right? So that's what it comes down to. And, Alex here with the super says, we getting smoked against the Dodgers. Thank you for the 2, Alex. I'm very high on the Yankees against the Dodgers, especially in the first game. You got Max Fried on the mound taking on Tony Gonsolin. We'll talk about that at the end of the show, but I feel very confident about that matchup. I'll take all day. I will take Max Fried and the Yankees over Gonsolin and the beat up Dodgers right now. So,
is it Sunday we get Yamamoto? What day is it?
Yeah. So real quick here, let's see. We got, okay, so Gonsolin's the first game. What's the game after? The games after. Yamamoto is pitching. I know that. Landon Knack versus Will Warren on Saturday, and then Yarbrough versus Yamamoto on ESPN2 on Sunday, which is ESPN2.
Yeah, these type of games, and I know the Dodgers aren't playing their best baseball right now, but I do see it in the chat to some degree. Teams are going to, and I see it again, like teams are going to play up for this. Like this isn't the Pirates walking into town and you're just going to sleepwalk. Okay, we're not really healthy in our rotation. The Dodgers are going to be scrapping in this series. They just are. They're at home. They play very well at Dodger Stadium. And the Yankees right now feel like we sort of have the juice. We want to go score 10 runs and win a game 10-6. We can go do that. You want to go win a game 1-0 in the most boring fashion you've ever seen. It's literally watching paint dry. The Yankees just showed you they can do that as well. The Yankees don't normally win games like this. So I feel this Yankees team, at least this year, is more well-constructed for the style game we're about to watch against the Dodgers, which more than likely is going to be bringing out some reliever and then having to execute, get guys over, and maybe a sac fly, maybe dropping down a bunt, maybe a quality out that scores a run. That's what we did today. I'm looking forward to this series. I don't care about a sweep. I'm not trying to send some type of message. We need to go in there and win a series and get the hell out of LA.
Yeah, it's that simple. They've won 16 of their last 20 games. So I don't think they're getting smoked at all. I think that they win 2 out of 3 and then they get out of there. That's what I think. They're going to be.
Yeah, the Yamamoto game is probably an L, but Yamamoto is one of the best arms in the game. So sometimes you tip your cap. If he's got his stuff, then he's got his stuff.
And that's how I see it. Sunday will probably be a loss. I think they win the first 2 against Knack and Gonsolin. I just do. Okay, so you have Suarez. He's also on my list. And then that's it, right? You had those 3?
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
So I have a guy we were just looking at. He's the cover guy of today's live stream, Yoan Moncada. Now, Moncada is an interesting one because, the Savant page doesn't look amazing, right? I think he's a better fielder than Savant gives him credit for. I think we just looked at the series. We watched him. He makes, he moves enough, right? He's athletic, has a big arm, decent enough arm at least. I thought he showed some range there at the hot corner. And he made some good plays. So you get a switch hitter. You get a guy that, essentially he's a switch hitter with balanced platoon splits, which is a big deal.
That's nice to see.
You don't have the Jason Dominguez effect where you're like, yeah, he's a switch hitter. Well, he might bat righty and lefty, but he is a left-handed hitter that also, for whatever reason, swings right-handed, even though he's not anywhere near
so it's like wiffle
the player
ball.
of lefty. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wiffle ball switch hitting.
Exactly. So I don't want to discredit them that much, but I get what you're saying. So he's in the upper 90 percentile, not qualified yet, but would be upper 90 percentile in barrel percentage. He walks, good exit velocity. He also slugs. You saw it today with the extra base hit. That is who you're getting in him. Now, he does strike out. He doesn't have the pop he used to have. He doesn't have the home run power. But I think this would be a nice addition to the lineup. I understand he's hitting 228 right now. He notoriously gets off to slow starts, but he's going to hit around 260 to 275, and he is going to put the bat on the ball, and his slugging percentage is always going to be above 400. So is that better than DJ LeMahieu? Is that better than, Oswald Peraza? I would say yes. I think Moncada during this series was a guy that the Yankees will look at, and I think they'll be taking notes. He's not a bad player. I would definitely want to add somebody like that. And, looking at what that would cost, it's probably the back end of your top 10, in the farm system. This is an old school, very simply put, this is a rental. This is I want to win. I'm going to make my team better. That is what this is. So Moncada was my first guy. And then, of course, I had Suarez on that list, but I have, some others as well. I'm not like a huge fan of these guys. These are just the options. There's not a lot of options right now. That might change. But Brandon Lau is another one. Really good savant page. Really kind of a confusing player. He's had some injuries, and I think that's probably why. But he's a confusing player because he hits 249. He doesn't even have an on-base percentage at 300, but he's slugging at 446, and he's got these numbers to translate. So really good defender, can play second, can play third, can play short. So I think he gives them some flexibility, but he's a left-handed bat. So their kind of obsession with trying to find a right-handed bat, don't know about that. So personally, I think Lau is a guy that they'll be looking at. I think Suarez is a guy they'll definitely be looking at, Gary. I think Moncada is a guy they'll be looking at. I think he's overrated, but this goes back to what I was saying, and I kind of tripped myself up while I was talking about it. Ryan McMahon. Now, I said on this show he's overrated. He's one of the more overrated players in the league, and I really believe that. But this is not a deadline that you're going to get anybody that is a game changer, okay? You're not getting anybody that's a game changer. Kyle Tucker's not going to be available. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. is not going to be available. Gunnar Henderson, I don't care how bad the Orioles are. Wipe that from your mind if you think Gunnar Henderson is going to be available. So, point being, there's not going to be a lot of guys. So, I think Ryan McMahon will be a guy that they definitely have interest in. He is a left-handed bat. He is a really good fielder. He hits the ball really hard. William Wallace says McMahon strikes out more than Jazz. You don't have to tell me. I'm not the biggest Ryan McMahon fan. I just think this is where our minds have to be at. You mentioned Bo Bichette. And the last one here, probably the least likely, because I don't think, same thing with DeGrom. I don't think the Rangers are trying to trade. But if they do, Josh Jung, I think, makes a lot of sense. A guy that can slug, a guy that, has decent batting average. A guy that's shown you some power in the past, but he's a good player. So, yeah, that's my list. I see Key Brian Hayes from Danny. He can't hit. He is maybe the best fielder at his position, but he cannot hit.
Yeah, we might as well trade for Jimenez from Cleveland if we're going to go ahead and do that.
Oh, yeah, they could have done that.
Right, could have done it. Yeah. So, this is the thing.
Bring him up. There we go.
You're not going to trade for essentially game-changing baseball players. For the most part, they're just not available. You said, I want this player from so-and-so. Okay, well, more times than not, what happens with these really good players, they say, we want a haul. We want a haul for this guy. We want a haul for this player. Well, Brian Cashman never sends hauls for anybody.
No.
And you have to remember, we were opportunistic in this whole Juan Soto thing. The value was diminished. It was a rental. This wasn't a let's drop the chips down on the table and go for it. Those players the Yankees are just not going to go after. So my expectations, I think it's understandable that people want a really good player where you're like, I can see him hitting fifth. I can see instead of Volpe hitting fifth, he can slide down to sixth, and we can put this guy that we picked up in the 3 spot or in the 2 spot, right? Maybe Grisham slides down the lineup or he comes out, and you put this pickup there. Those guys, more times than not, it's not going to be what Brian Cashman's looking for. Brian Cashman's trying to get better at the margins, and I think that's what a Moncada does. That's what a Bichette does. They improve the bat. The glove may be a regression, but it's marginal impact that maybe it gets you over the hump. So, yeah, I understand that people want to see Skeens available, right? You want to go see a guy who's hitting 330 and his team's butt cheeks, and they're saying, well, we want to get rid of him, and then the Yankees cash in their prospects and put this guy in the heart of the lineup. That's just not how the Yankees move. It's more times than not now how contenders move. So, yeah, my expectations have been tempered. Obviously, I want more, but to some degree, you do have to kind of read the room.
Wait a minute. maybe
Skeens ain't going nowhere.
IKF.
No.
I just saw someone bring up IKF. He's hitting 297. I wouldn't want to give up tons for him because he doesn't slug, but I think right now, and this is a really good example of that,
take him
even
for
though,
free.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now, here's the deal. Beggars can't be choosers, and the Yankees are actually seeing how not slugging and just hitting singles is better than not having any of that. And they're missing, I hate to say it, they're missing Oswaldo Cabrera. I like Peraza, but like again, and he hit the ball harder than anybody today. But you need to see more, and he needs to start doing it quickly because he's running out of time. Jazz comes in.
Awkward, Jake. That was so awkward when they put Yes Network put the camera on him at third, and they're like, "Yeah, the Yankees are trying to get better at third." Could you imagine what that would feel like? I mean, had he known, maybe he does know. Maybe somebody that he knows ends up telling him, but it is strange. I mean, you have to realize like this is the human side to sports in general. Like, could you imagine being in the office and you're like working at State Farm and there's like a camera crew right in your face and they're like, "Here's a wild Gary Sheffield Jr. We're going to get rid of him by Monday, but we've got to find a better replacement, somebody who can type a lot faster than this kid." And that's just the way this business goes.
Are we serious with this guy?
What, Ahmed Rosario?
He wanted to be a Yankee. They said that, well, no. They tried to sign him. He said no. We wanted him at the deadline last year. He goes to the Dodgers, goes back to the Dodgers. They trade for him. Then he gets cut. What is this player? All he does is like pretty much hit anywhere he goes. He doesn't slug, but like he's constantly hitting around 270 to 300. What am I missing here? Why is it once again we're talking about Rosario? I saw him in the comment section right here, and yeah, I don't know.
Do you want to try some of these supers? They're in Spanish.
Well, first off, Apex, appreciate you. Definitely don't want to leave Apex up there and just not say anything about it because we did that the other day, and then we went back to it. But you know, we go through so many supers. Apex, thank you for the 2. Wild prediction: Will Warren gives least runs Saturday. I see what you're saying. So you're saying he is going to have essentially a better start or more productive start in a sense than the ace, Max Fried. I don't know, but that is interesting.
Really? I love the matchup for Max Fried. If you think
that's
about
my
this,
thing. I love Max Fried in that matchup.
Lefty on lefty with Ohtani. And of course, just because a guy's a lefty doesn't mean you're getting Ohtani out. We saw what it looks like lefty on lefty against Freddie Freeman. But if there's a preference I could have, that is my preference, to have a lefty, right? Sinkers, sliders, junk ball, bunch of breaking balls, 12-6 curveball. He's going to throw the kitchen sink at those guys. So I love the matchup for Max Fried. He's basically been perfect for the last month and a half now. Same with Carlos Rodon. We're all just sitting here waiting around like, how long is this going to last? But we just sort of hope it at least goes through this Dodgers series and then we kind of regroup from there, because this Yankees rotation is just putting on a show.
Yeah.
Which occasionally Matt Blake and crew will do.
No, that's true.
But thank you, Apex.
Yes.
Also, I'm pretty sure I know some Spanish. I'm fairly certain that's a curse word, but Gerardo Martinez? Who?
Huh. Is that a person? That's not a baseball player. Who is that?
No, this is a secret agent. But either way, Noble Demon Tim, thank you for the 5.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, Jason, no idea who that is. Again, this is another secret agent in Major League Baseball.
Custodian.
These are all John Wick characters.
Oh, man. Yeah, I have no idea who these people are, but we appreciate the supers. Shohei's biggest weakness is sinkers. with his encounters versus Clay Holmes since their AL days. Okay.
I won't necessarily double down on that because I don't have the information in front of me that suggests that. But if it's true, Max Fried will know this, right? Our staff will know this.
Well, he's saying Rodon for Sunday's game. It's going to be Yarbrough. Rodon is going to pitch against Boston.
I saw that a few times in the chat.
Or not Boston, I'm sorry. Cleveland on Tuesday. Well, he'll pitch against Boston, too.
Yeah, thank God. We'll be home, right? I mean, we've been on the road, I feel like, forever.
Yeah, Cleveland back at the stadium, and then Boston, and then they go back on the road against Kansas City in Boston. So...
Yeah, and Alex Reyes with the super. Thank you for the 2. Says Connor Norby for Peraza and Bibas.
So I'm like kind of I get the Norby love because if you look at the regular stats, his raw stats, he's 276, but he is kind of like an average player. I don't know if I'm trading away my depth at the position to get him. I'd rather just trade prospects. You know what I mean? I wouldn't trade Peraza and Bibas together. You know, I would rather, and I also don't know if that would be enough because wasn't he the top prospect that the Orioles sent away?
I'm not even going to lie to you. I have no idea who this is.
I'm pretty sure he was a top prospect the Orioles traded in one of the trades. Also, Can we just set the record straight here? I see it all the time.
He pitched against San Diego today.
This guy is becoming the most overrated baseball player in America.
Oh, he's not overrated. Everyone thinks he stinks now.
No, there are people in the comment section that still want to trade for him. They actually want to offer a haul for him.
I want to locate one person.
I was looking through it. I was like, there are people that want a haul for this guy. I'm like, what?
Hey, chat, anybody want to send a haul? I'm not even sending a U-Haul for him. Nothing. I'm not sending
I don't
anything.
want him. Nothing. I don't care. He's 29. They're acting like he's 22. Oh yeah, he'll figure it out. No, so this is him off Tommy John surgery, and he looks abysmal.
On a contract, by the way, he's making like $10 million a year. I'm not paying. I wouldn't bring this player in for league minimum. Yes, people are gonna say I'll take a flyer and down the road
he's in the comments section, Jason Custodio.
What? I was like, hold on a second. Who is Jason Custodio?
And then the other one. Oh, wait.
So he's
Gerardo?
essentially. So we're like, wait a minute. So he's super chatting to respond to other people. Wow, that's a flex.
I tried to read the comments, so I apologize. Gerardo Martinez is the other one, right?
No way.
That is the best. That is the best super chat experience I think I've ever seen.
Wow. Because I mean, in baseball,
God.
there's all types of names that like you're just naive to. You can't watch everybody. So I'm thinking, there's clearly someone I'm naive to, and I'm seeing these names. I'm like, it's just not adding up. Just not. And then I looked at Baseball Savant, and I'm like, no, Gerardo Martinez did not pull up. So Gerardo,
I put it in the search bar.
Hey, Gerardo, you are not on Baseball Savant. We are disappointed in your defense.
Yeah, good Lord. Man, that was funny. But yeah, I don't want anything to do with Sandy Alcantara.
Mark with the 10 says, and Mark, again, thank you for supporting this channel, says, I say we trade our top 5 prospects for Jason Custodio.
Oh, man.
Again, I'm a little
star
concerned.
Has been born.
Custodio's defense is a problem. So I am somewhat concerned.
He's got a bat, though, I hear. So, I mean, they're looking for,
It's a depth piece for sure. So.
Oh, that was great. Nothing will beat our comment section. It is always a joy. Did we address, first off, did we address this?
Is that what's happening? Because I saw I saw a ton of replays of how that game was officiated. Obviously, this is Yankees Unloaded, not Knicks Unloaded, so we'll touch on it for 10 seconds. But yeah, the officiating was bad. That tends to be the takeaway, especially when you're losing, like I said earlier. So, yeah, it's a bummer. I'm rooting for the Knicks. I am. It's a bummer.
Teams not have come back fan, from 3-1 before, so
yeah, except they had to have one of the best basketball players of all time in LeBron and then Kyrie. So
that's true. Ronnie, appreciate you. Just left Angels Stadium and joined the stream from the freeway. Good Lord. Good sweep. We'll be at Dodger Stadium Friday. Love Ronnie. Appreciate you. And then, okay, so we got the Jason Custodio. Yes, please. Okay. Now I understand a little bit of what that was. Okay. So we're caught up. Oh man, it is always fun here on Yankees Unloaded. So yeah, in conclusion, I got to get this guy off my screen. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, because I don't want people to think when they join into this show that we're
advocating to
the literal prompt is like, who should the Yankees consider going to improve as a unit? And then they hop into our show and they're like, Sandy Alcantara. These guys don't have a clue what they're talking about. By the way, little side note before we talk about the game, because I really want to dive into the game itself. There wasn't much to talk about, but we'll figure out a way. Scott Boras just irked me standing behind the on deck circle for the Yankees. I would have just I would have thrown sunflower seeds on him every time I walked out there.
Why was he
there? There's
no
way. I have no idea. Honestly, I think it's a way. Like, obviously, he's probably like scouting to some degree, but I feel like in a way, it's just him. It's kind of like the people who like show up to a party and they just stand there. They don't talk to anybody. They just want to like establish their presence.
You just don't trust those people.
Right. And obviously the Yankees do not like Scott Boras. They feel like
nor should
it's more of a bully experience. He's going to milk every dollar. The Yankees feel like we're putting out a real offer for players that you claim want to be Yankees and then they just go do something else. So, yeah, it feels like you're being misled often with his clients. So, yeah, I was definitely bothered just seeing him. I thought he was like 80 and he was going to be done, and he's still there. So,
yeah, I'm just sick of him because I always stand by it. I don't care if you like George Steinbrenner or not. He's nothing without George Steinbrenner. Nothing. George Steinbrenner basically aided that dude's career. Now, he obviously puts in work. I'm not saying he doesn't. But George Steinbrenner was the one that gave him that push. For real. With how much he got done working with the Yankees, all those contracts. Yeah. He and then, there's no...
I'm not even going to minimize or even talk about what he does. I just don't like the style of how he does it. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like the style either.
Why would I want to do business with your clients? Obviously, you have to at some point. You have to. You want to go get Garrett Cole. Well, we're not just going to let Garrett Cole go, so you're forced to go call Scott Boras. It's unfortunate. But it does feel like everyone who hires him is trying to get every last dollar out of you. So
I know.
Yeah,
and it's
I didn't love
it. If what you're saying, like, oh, yeah, he's there scouting. All I'm thinking is, oh, okay, so he's just going to make it harder on the Yankees. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get a Scar. I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to get, Volpe. And the negotiations are just going to be a pain in the ass. That's all I'm thinking. All he does being there is just, it's not good. So, yeah. Anyway, we move because I don't want to talk about him anymore. Yankees, in case you guys forgot earlier, because it's been about 38 minutes, the Yankees did win this game 1-0. Now, probably the most exciting thing of the day was the whole Jason Custodio and all the Gerardo Martinez thing. But no, all jokes aside, really proud of the Yankees in a sense because Kikuchi has given them fits, and he did. But you had that inning that I was talking about. They didn't come away with a crooked number or anything crazy like that, but they were able to put a run up on the board against him when they needed to. And that ended up being the deciding factor. The bullpen was really good today. Clark Schmidt was really good today. I mean, this is one of those games, though, where I feel like the Yankees were kind of feeling the road trip a little bit, just ready. I think they were focused on, I don't want to say they were looking ahead, but you're playing the team that you lost to in the World Series. A lot of those guys are still on the roster. I think there's definitely something there. They would never tell you that, but I do. But it was good to see today multi-hit games from Grisham and Goldschmidt, especially Grisham, who has kind of been teetering, around that cliff a little bit. But it was. Other than that, Gary, it was a pretty boring game. But Clark Schmidt, I liked what I saw today.
Yeah, so there are going to be people who feel like, and I know you just said that the Yankees potentially were looking forward. I don't even personally, I think it's fine we have different perspectives on this. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Yankees were looking forward. I really just think this happens all the time in baseball.
Well, that too, yeah.
You just show up to the yard, you average 6 runs a game, you're like, okay, Kikuchi, wildly inefficient arm. He always is in 80, 90, 100 pitches by the 4th or 5th inning. He nibbles like no one's business. Obviously, the walks piled up today, so credit to the Yankees for accomplishing that. But we knew the Angels' bullpen was terrible. We sort of assumed, okay, we're going to just find a way to win this game. We're not sure how, but the tea leaves say we're going to figure out a way. And more times than not, you score 1 run at the park, you're going to lose, especially the way the Angels have been playing of late. I know their schedule's been weak. I mentioned that in previous episodes, but the Yankees sort of no-showed today, right? Outside of a quality at-bat from Anthony Volpe. I loved what he did. He got into a 2-0 count. The broadcast was talking about this should be absolutely take 100%, and I'm sitting there thinking, no, this should be a dead red situation. You're in a situation right now, look for a fastball up. You cannot kill worms and put this ball on the ground. It's the one thing we have to avoid. We have to avoid a strikeout. 2-0 pitch, the fastball up, he's going. And we get contact. It almost falls and actually somehow breaks this game open, but ball's caught. We score a run and ends up being the only run of the game. So it was just an ugly contest that nobody will remember, but it's now etched in stone in the win and loss column. So by the time we look up at the deadline, we want the division to be put away. We want to be making tweaks to our lineup, making tweaks to our rotation, our bullpen that is building towards the postseason. We do not want to be putting our backs up against the wall, screwing around with the regular season, where we have to make moves to try and outrun people in the regular season. That is not what we want. So I'm glad that this game was won. I couldn't care less that it was boring because now this game's over. But I did want to talk a little bit about Clark Schmidt and the job he did, because obviously, love that you put up that my Savant page is all red. Completely yeah. True. But Clark Schmidt was semi-inefficient today, but he did eventually hone it in. The broadcast was talking about against left-handers. He does not like to throw the ball away. He will not throw that two-seamer. But when he sees a right-handed guy, even 0-2, he'll put a sinker or a two-seam, whatever you want to call it. He'll throw a pitch around the zone and get contact. And some of those plate appearances against right-handers kept him involved in the game to get through that 6th inning. If Clark Schmidt doesn't get through that 6th inning, we're probably not looking at a win today. So credit to him. Yeah.
No, I agree. I thought he looked really good today. There were some times where, he got into a little bit of a jam, but, I thought, I was surprised to see the strikeout numbers, Gary. I thought he struck out more than that, mainly because we didn't hit our Clark Schmidt over, and I was just shocked by that.
What did he end up with? I actually missed it.
He had 5. It looked like he struck out more than that, but
that's honestly, it's genuinely impressive to only end up with 5 strikeouts, and I'm not picking on him, but with that strike zone we saw today,
4 strikeouts.
4 strikeouts. That is a surprise.
Yeah.
So
Kikuchi,
I think
too,
this
by the
is
way.
a new name, by the way. Pizza Minetti with the 2.
I like it.
We really appreciate you getting involved and getting involved with us here with the 2. Says Dodgers World Series comments, P.O. Judge, Revenge Tour 2025. Love the enthusiasm. Jake, I don't really think the Yankees should be using anyone as fuel. I think the 15, 16-year drought, they should be their own fuel. That's what I feel. I don't care if the Mets feel you, if the Dodgers hop on podcasts, like Mookie Betts is hopping on podcasts. He's like, I thought we were going to lose to the Padres and the Yankees were super sloppy. None of it bothers me, personally, because I feel if the Yankees play a brand of baseball that we feel they should play, that's the only way you're going to win anyway. So, I understand the competitive nature of it. The Dodgers just beat you, go out there and beat them. It's just that simple.
I agree and disagree at the same time. I get what you're saying, just beat them, whatever, don't care. But I don't know. I think this is a brotherhood at the end of the day. You know, Judge talks about these guys all the time, like, you know, they're close. And, you know, he had every opportunity to throw digs at Soto for leaving, never did or anything like that. So, you know, he tries to keep it cool. I know because he's had kind of that, you can tell he has that face when, you know, he wants to go off the PR script, but he's not going to.
Yeah, he smirks.
But I felt that was the most disrespectful offseason I've ever seen from a team that won.
What bothered you about it?
Well, what bothered me about it, it was a bunch of guys that did not contribute on the level of a Freddie Freeman. Because, like, think about this. While Miguel, what was his name? Rojas, is that it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Miguel Rojas. Who, first off, there's all sorts of bat shit about him, about what he did to Jazz Chisholm and how awful he was as a teammate in, Miami. It's all out there.
I do remember that, yeah.
But while Miguel Rojas is running his dumbass mouth when he did literally nothing, Freddie Freeman's like donating to like causes and shit. Like he donated to the whole LA, the fire thing. You know, he's out there, charity events. It just felt like the guys who, you know, like act like you've been there before. Shohei Ohtani.
I mean, I do, but it would bother me more if there were better players doing it. Like, if I go to the YMCA, the best player on the other team never says anything to you. The best player never says anything, but who are the loudest people there? It's pretty much going to be some 5'4" kid that's standing in the corner talking trash to you.
But
That's
then
what
all
you get.
the sub comments, like the, you know,
I didn't give a rat's behind about any of it, bro.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but
Rojas.
Not just Rojas though, but like when like, oh yeah, executives, all these leaks that came out about how we wanted to play the Yankees. We knew that they don't care. I don't even think they work on their defense. And as you know, if you're Aaron Judge, I think that does bother you. I think it bothers you the way they threw some guys under the bus. And that's my thing. I can understand where he's coming from. Like Joe Kelly talking anything. What did Joe Kelly do last year? You know, Kike Hernandez. You know, I'm sorry. I understand both sides because I understand Mookie Betts is like, been there, done that. I'm not going to, go crazy. I'm not going to run my mouth. We thought the best team we faced was the Padres. Now, could you look at that as disrespectful? Sure, if you're the Yankees. I didn't feel that was disrespectful. I felt it was more disrespectful the way Rojas was basically laughing in the Yankees' face. I felt like that was a bad look. And I felt like it wasn't just him having all those reports come out about, oh, yeah, we knew it's an organizational thing. They just don't care about defense or, they weren't ready. They're not coached well. Like, to me, I understand why Boone was upset by that and why he's excited to get back at. I understand why Judge had his comments. Like, he wasn't cool with it either. You could tell.
What did Judge say? Because I do find it interesting because, I mean, if you think about it, more times than not, the people that say the most, and this isn't just in sports, this is in life, are the people that are literally doing nothing. Like, the people who will criticize you aren't usually doing anything. But the people who are figuring out a way to focus on themselves and their own purpose, they don't usually spend too much time looking over and say, well, look at this guy. He can't do this job, or they're not capable of beating us. Like, that's, for me, I would feel some type of way about it, and I'd feel like, okay, this is a rivalry. Like, now, if Mookie Betts was saying something, if Freddie Freeman or Ohtani was saying something, then I would feel like, all right, now we're being discounted as an organization by veterans. But when we're talking about players that they could be playing for the Orioles one year, they'd be playing in Pittsburgh the next, and then all of a sudden they're like, for me personally, I think there's so many names out there. Like, the Joe Kellys to me just don't move the needle. Like, I know it like bothers Manny Machado. Like, it definitely gets under people's skin, which is why they do it. Yeah. And certainly people get hyped up for it. But yeah, for me personally, I don't get hyped up from role players. Like, I feel like Anthony Volpe, or like, let's use a player who's really not contributing a ton. I feel like let's just use Peraza. If Peraza was like, oh, I felt like the Cleveland Guardians really weren't even competition. Like, yeah, the series ended up being close, but we knew we were going to win that thing. Like, it was pretty much a joke.
I wouldn't like that.
Maybe you don't like it, but like, would it piss me off, or like, would I be motivated the next season over it? No, I don't think any player that's not a great player should motivate you.
I get your point. I do. And I'm not like, in my free time, like, oh, stupid Miguel Rojas is stupid and just talking to myself or anything like that. But it's when we're talking about the actual topic at hand and you bring it back, you're like, yeah, I'm a big believer in having class. And, it's the same when people run their mouths after they won a Super Bowl or an NBA Finals. I don't like that diss culture. I don't. I never have. I never will. It's why, like, for instance, in rap music, how diss tracks, people think it's so exciting and fun to watch. I think it's lame. I've never liked it. I don't like disrespecting your peers. And maybe I'm different. It is what it is. But, I think there are better ways to go about that. And I don't care if it was Rojas or anybody. At the end of the day, this is part of the Dodgers. This is a member of the Dodgers organization. And if I'm not mistaken, he's back on the team. So he's still a part of their team. And I just don't like that. If the Yankees did that, I'd be equally annoyed. Like if Judge was running his mouth, or if it was Oswaldo Cabrera, or if it was Peraza, or if it was Volpe, I don't want that. I would win with some honor and dignity. Like I never liked that. And I feel like if the fans want to, just celebrate the fifth inning meltdown, like it's their, literally what won them the World Series when it didn't, because they already had a 3-1 lead. That's their prerogative. That's fine. It's weird. I'll never understand it. Feels like they put more emphasis on that inning than they do with the 4 games that they won.
Well, I mean, that is our culture today. It's not our culture now with social media is laugh at you culture, is I can't believe you couldn't do that culture, or you can't do it culture. We're better than you culture, comparison culture. That's what we have. So sports weren't that way in the 90s, and then now people think that everybody in the 90s was just better.
It's normalized to disrespect people in the limelight because everyone's like, it's that one dude in the background. And I don't like it. It's how I feel. And I feel like Judge, kind of that old school mentality. You can see it, the way he carries himself. Aaron Boone, a guy that normally, there's been stuff before. They made a joke or whatever because what's his face now on the Diamondbacks, the Naylor with the baby carrying the baby. There's been
the
stuff
Yankees
like
have also
that,
tried to go the other direction as well. They tried to bring in Josh Donaldson. They're like, yeah, we're going to bring in some more fire. They called it fire. But when he's not on your team, it can piss you off. It is pompous. It's cocky. It's all this. It's trash talking. It's I'm better, right? So it's this culture. So, and I think you'll agree with this. Pizza Minetti again, thank you for the 5, says Judge and Yanks are a high road organization. The only retaliation they need is to win the right way, the way they're playing ball this year. Yeah, that's my motivation. If you don't win, people are going to laugh at us regardless. There are a lot of people paying attention to us. The only way you can make that stop is by winning. So what should you do? Should you be looking left to right and thinking, what is Miguel Rojas saying? Or should you just win and then none of us, and I literally repeat, none of us in our chat, Jake, you and I, we won't talk about Miguel Rojas in that situation. We just won't. So Mark wants to say with the 10, thank you, Mark, again for the 10, says, can we talk about DJ? I would like a refund on my apology a few streams ago.
I think it's too early. I do. And he's still hitting the ball hard. I'm not out on DJ LeMahieu. I'm not in on DJ LeMahieu. I'm just kind of chilling,
You're floating.
I'm floating. What the hell else am I going to do, right? I mean, I will say this, though. Every passing game that goes by, Oswaldo Cabrera's missing, presence or whatever feels more and more evident. Like having that guy that can hit a slap single that we might have taken for granted because he didn't have pop. Like, I'm definitely missing that. I'm missing having that guy at the bottom of the order, and I feel like the Yankees are too.
Yeah, I don't think DJ LeMahieu should technically, after the trade deadline, he shouldn't be taking postseason at bats. I know he can get a hit. Most players who start on contenders can get a hit, but the
I
Yankees
won't acknowledge Miguel Rojas's existence.
Right. The Yankees, they should have a better option in place. It's okay for DJ LeMahieu to be on the roster as long as you call it depth. We've got an injury. We've got no one to play. We've got multiple injuries. Don't worry. We've got DJ LeMahieu. He can slide over to third. There won't be a gaping hole the way you see in Boston right now, right? You lose Bregman. They literally don't have a third baseman. They still don't trust Rafael Devers to go play third base. So This is just kind of in lines the point, is having these, and you see in the chat from Donnie Clark says DJ's like a Ben Zobrist type player. There's still value in just him being able to field his position. That's it.
Fair.
And just slap a ground ball the other way. Occasionally it'll find a hole. Don't have high expectations.
He's a good defender right now. He is. He's making, plays in the field. You want to see the bat, obviously contribute more, but we've already seen the jump in exit velo that he just didn't have before. The hard hit percentage is higher than he had the last few years. It tells me that he's finally healthy. Now let's see what that truly means. That's all I'm saying. That's why I'm not planting the flag either way. I am totally okay with him starting. I have no issue with him starting, but it's funny because really you have right now, despite the fact the Yankees are probably the best offense in the league right now, currently.
Statistically speaking, yes.
You have kind of automatic outs, 8th and 9th. Now, your 8th and 9th hitters aren't supposed to be amazing, but, it is interesting. And it also begs the question, Escara, who's playing catcher today, when Wells is in, why not give Escara an opportunity at third? Because he's already played third. He played third in minors as well. And that bat is good enough to justify throwing him over there if he's good enough to play there. And so you look at the bat and you're starting to see the bat speed's there. He hits the ball hard. He's got a nice little swing going. He's put together some really good appearances. And I understand this isn't, what we were planning on talking about, but I mean, he makes the argument that this could be a 50-50 split between him and Wells, and we've talked about that already. But yeah, it is interesting how there's not many teams in the league that you can say they, by choice or no choice, but by choice because they have to, Rice and Escara, by choice the Yankees could be leaving better bats on the bench than what their actual starting 9 are.
This super is very accurate. So Mark with the 10 again. Thank you so much, Mark. He says, we also had a great record and offense when Gallo was playing, though, and this is objectively true. Let's hope they don't make the same mistakes over winning despite his poor performance. Yeah, because I guess the overhanging point here is when it's all said and done in the regular season's over, you win a division, you're hosting postseason games, it doesn't actually matter what you did in the regular season now, because some of those names that were able to hide because your offense on average could score because maybe 1 through 6 you're really good, but 7, 8, 9 is to be desired. Well, 7, 8, 9 are going to be taking big at-bats. Don't forget that. So we don't want to be too nitpicky because you have to remember it's still May 28th. The Yankees, we haven't passed the deadline. So, yeah, I mean, DJ LeMahieu's analytics say he's hitting the ball hard. He can field his position. He's not going to be great. He never will be great again. But he's able to essentially just, what was that infomercial where they'd slap the sticker on the leaking thing?
Yeah. I forget what it's called. Yeah.
Chat, what was it? Flex tape. There you have it. You just slap
this boat in half.
You slap some DJ LeMahieu flex tape on there.
DJ LeMahieu is flex tape.
You get to wait it out. And also, we did have a Jack Curry update on the broadcast. He provided a little update on Oswaldo Cabrera. Obviously, a devastating ankle injury. It sucked to watch.
Yeah.
And we did a show right after it. The update is that he's expected to be, I guess, returning to action. 4 to 6 months is the recovery. And if you throw 5 months in there, I mean, you're talking about late October. So yeah, he is definitely out for the season. I'm given that.
Yeah.
There's no possible way that everything's looking good at 4 months, and then suddenly he's out on the field. Yeah, I saw that update. They should not try it. It's not good for his career. It's not good for him personally at all. It's not good for the Yankees. So, yeah, obviously I was happy to get the update that the surgery went well. But, yeah, when I saw the timetable, yeah, it was disappointing still.
Yeah, no, that is disappointing. A bummer. What I expected, so I'm not entirely shocked, but definitely a bummer nonetheless. So, yeah, I mean, we talked about it. LeMahieu, by the way, expected batting average is at 274. So he's at 184 right now. Definitely has had some bad bouts of luck. Like I said, we give those guys time. If you just continue to have these, bad bouts of luck, you're just not a good hitter, right? But eventually it does go in your favor when you're hitting the ball hard. And that's what I keep, nagging about. DJ LeMahieu's exit velocity is never this high. Like, it wasn't this high since he was like a batting title guy, right? Like, that was the biggest thing, Gary. He didn't just kill birds. He didn't just have negative launch angle. Like, this guy was not hitting the ball hard at all. Like, that was the biggest issue.
Did you say birds?
Bugs. Too bad he wasn't killing. Although nothing against birds. Although Randy Johnson clearly hates them, but yeah. No,
that means you hit too many pop-ups.
Yeah. So no, he had a 74th percentile average exit velocity, which is 90.6 in 2021, then 53 in 2022. Then 67 or 57 in 2023. And then he had an average exit velocity in the 25th percentile in 2024. And now in 2025, he's got a 92.3 exit velocity, which puts him in the 88th percentile. So he's doing well in that sense. He's gotten the average exit velocity back up. He's hitting the ball hard. His outs are about 90 to 100 miles an hour, right? That's a good sign, because the issue before was that he would hit these slow choppers, like wicked slow, but it's not like he's fast. So he wasn't going to beat those out. There was no benefit to him.
So on paper, what you're saying is that what Cashman's saying, we're going to slide Jazz Chisholm over to third base.
Slide him on down.
DJ LeMahieu, in theory, should slide into being a backup role. Our backup should be able to hit the ball hard consistently and field his position. That's what backups are supposed to do. Yeah, is he higher paid than maybe a backup should be? Sure, but it's not our money. I do not care about that right now. We need to focus on who we can bring into this roster that can get us better around the edges. The Yankees have to find ways to get better marginally at this deadline. I understand people want to go get the great player. If the great player is available, I'll be the first one to put my hand up and say, hey, Cashman, go get this done. But as of now, the only players that you can really justify even having the nerve to ask for are literally fringe assets on other teams that you can use more than they can.
Yeah. So why don't we get into a quick Dodger Fried versus Gonsolin preview. Before we do, real quick, you get one name. Who are the Yankees going to acquire at the deadline?
I think I'm going to go with Moncada.
I am too.
Yeah.
Switch hitter. I think he's going to probably play third. They're going to use Jazz back at second when they get him. DJ will be a backup. There you go.
And trades are impossible, for the most part, to predict. So much happens. So much falls through. Some people
the Angels are falling
kings.
off, though. So
yes.
Yeah.
So there's reason to believe this player will be available. There's reason to believe analytically he can help us. And what he's poor at, I guess you can say, in terms of defense, he's slightly below average. We don't think he's that bad defensively. So, yeah, I like the pickup. I like it.
Yeah, I was watching him, and I was actually, it's weird, I normally don't do this, but I was enjoying watching him play baseball on the other team. I know normally it's like you root against those guys, but he's fun to watch. Switch hitter, can slug, he doesn't have to hit the long ball, and then he's making those plays where they're like, yeah, normally you don't make that play, The one that he made today where he threw, he's like, normally they just don't throw that, but he threw it and still ended up getting the guy out. So, yeah, I think he's a better defender than analytics would say. But, yeah, let's talk about this. The Yankees are favored on the road here, according to ESPN matchup predictor, 55.8 to 44.2%. So the Yankees, 10-10 on Apple TV Plus. Oh, no.
Crack streams it is. I'll be an inning and a half behind. And you always are. I don't know how, but
I don't even want to talk about it. But, yes, I always am. Gotham Sports is a terrible app. I do not like it. Anyway, but at least we called it something cool like Gotham. Ooh, Gotham Sports. That's so cool. Max Fried, 7-0, 1.29 ERA, 0.93 whip, 7 innings pitched, 67 Ks, 49 hits. Is only given up 3 long balls this year. Gonsolin, 2-1, 4.68 ERA with a 1.44 whip. He's just coming back. 25 innings pitched, 24 hits, 28 strikeouts. And he's only given up 4 long balls, but he's done that in 25 innings as opposed to 3 from Fried in 70. I really like the Yankees in this one. Really like this opportunity against Gonsolin. We'll do like a Profit X thing because obviously they don't have those up for Friday yet, but we'll talk about that. But Gary, for Profit X, I like Aaron Judge big time in this one. Like I think he is going to go nuclear in this series. Seems like he kind of tailed off a little bit in the Angels series. He's down to like 391 batting average, but I think he is going to go off against the Dodgers. So I'm going to take Judge, who has only seen Gonsolin twice, and he hit a home run. I'm going to take him total bases. I'm going to say he goes over 2.5 in this one.
Okay, so the only person I care about in this entire series, and I shouldn't say I only care about, but he's my focus, is Max Fried. Mm-hmm. When we talked about this signing, we talked about the postseason, what that looks like for Fried. In my opinion, this is the first postseason look that Max Fried's going to get. It's hardly ever in a game in May are you going to have some type of playoff feel. It's going to be electric at Dodger Stadium. People are going to get up for this game. It is going to be packed. There's going to be 50,000 people there. Everyone's going to be watching this game. So my feeling is I want to see how Max Fried responds, and I think he's going to do quite well. I think that given what Max Fried actually does well, it's a just. He's not going to just beat the dead horse, try and go after his game plan one after the other and get beat the same way inning after inning. If you beat him and you leave the yard, you're not going to beat him the same way. So I like my chances. I do. And at some point, you have to trust this Yankees offense that's been really great all year. I know it's crazy to say we just won a game in a sac fly 1-0, but overall, this Yankees offense should score in this series. If they can score, we have a chance. The only game that, in my opinion, is going to be a dogfight is that Yamamoto game. So we talked about this in the World Series. People were sort of trying to talk our way into, well, he's not great. He's not going to be great on the road. It's different. No, Yamamoto shut it down. He's the real deal. The Yankees are going to have to find a way, but we'll worry about that game when it comes. I'm worried about Max Fried's outing. I believe he's going to show up and show out.
Okay. So do you like the over on the strikeouts, or are you thinking he's just going to come through?
So I'm actually going to take the under on the strikeouts, but I do think he's going to give length. I do. The Yankees have a day off, so the bullpen should be somewhat rested. They're not going to be afraid to use it. But I think Max Fried is going to find a way to get deeper into this game. I think he knows that's the priority, is winning and not his numbers. So I'm going to take the under there. But I do think he's going to be in this game in the 6th inning. So, yeah, I'm taking the win for the Yankees, but I'm taking that under on Fried.
Yeah, so the Dodgers have a pretty good batting average against him. Like, there's a lot of guys, Muncy, not a lot of opportunities, but Muncy 300, Ohtani 600. Kike Hernandez has a 100 batting average. He struggled against him in limited opportunities. Teoscar has a 200. As we know, Teoscar gave the Yankees fits last year. Tommy Edman hits 357 against him. Will Smith hits a .071. Freddie Freeman, .154. Mookie Betts, .056. Michael Conforto, .095. That's in 25 at-bats. And then Miguel Rojas, actually, fun fact, has the most plate appearances against Max Fried. He's hitting 333. So, also, fun fact, Tony Gonsolin gave up a double to Max Fried. So Max Fried actually has a double against Tony Gonsolin. He will not be hitting, unfortunately.
That feels like forever ago.
Yep.
When we used to watch pitchers hit, it was so dumb.
I know.
I know, technically speaking, there are like historians of this game. They love the old school aspect. I personally hated it.
I did not like
it.
No.
I thought it made no sense at all watching a guy just go up there and take 3 pitches in a row, and I have to wait like 20 days before I see a pitcher that takes it serious because he hit in college. It was the dumbest thing ever.
So, okay. How do I want to go about this? I'm thinking I'm going to go over on his strikeouts.
Okay.
He's done a nice job against the Dodgers. So
you agree with the length, but you think the length that he's going to go in this game propels him in the case. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm leaning on the Dodgers offense to provide a lot of contact. That's where I'm headed.
Yeah, he's 3-4 against the Dodgers, but he does have 70 strikeouts in 56 and 2/3 innings against the Dodgers. So that's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. And what about total bases?
I'll take the overs. I'm going to go with Aaron Judge over 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah, Aaron Judge, you can't get at 1.5 anymore. It's just not profitable. So I'm going to say 2.5.
2.5. It's ridiculous.
I know. Well, he just needs 3, so that's a double and a base hit.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Home run automatically wins it for you. Okay. I think he's going yard, but I'm not going to be the guy that's like, ooh, I'm going to take Aaron Judge home runs because that's so cool. No. 2.5 is like It's funny because it's riskier to take. It's not riskier to take 2.5. It's actually probably a good bet, even if you think they're going to, But anyway, point being, I like Aaron Judge, and I'm gonna say Cody Bellinger 1.5.
I was just gonna spit that out of my mouth.
Yep, Cody Bellinger
returning to Dodger Stadium.
He's never played in Dodger Stadium apparently. I'm reading here. There's no. Oh wait, hold on.
He's never played in Dodger Stadium as a member of the road team.
Hold on.
There's no way.
Against Gonsolin. So he didn't show up against Gonsolin.
Yeah, I was going to say there's no way. He was traded to the Cubs.
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't even make sense. I was wondering why he didn't show up. But yeah, he probably has. I mean, I would assume he has. I haven't seen it, but let's look. So I don't know why I always do this, but I almost always put Clay Bellinger. I didn't even watch Clay Bellinger because I was too young to even remember Clay Bellinger on the Yankees. I always do that. I don't know why. Cody Bellinger versus the Dodgers. Okay. He has definitely played against the Dodgers. He's got some crazy numbers. Yeah. No, he's played against the Dodgers. He's got 15 hits and 46 ABs and 6 homers. So, yeah, 326 batting average. He has definitely played against the Dodgers. 9 extra base hits out of those 15.
So Bellinger's a good pick here. And
yes.
By the way, I have figured out, I've located, I think, is that all we're going to do for our picks?
Yeah, so Bellinger over total bases, Judge over total bases, because it'll be 2.5, so just remember that.
You took the Fried over K's.
Fried over K's, not touching Gonsolin. And I'll say, easy. I'm going to take the under on the 1 through 5 innings.
Okay.
Because I think the Yankees can get after Gonsolin, but I don't think it's going to be crazy like 6 runs or anything like that.
No, they won't let it get to that point. So they'd pull him off the mound.
So I think it'll be 5.5.
Okay.
Under on 5.5. That's what I like.
All right, cool. So I figured out what I want to put in the chat. If
Okay.
you guys stuck around this late in the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and give me a random left fielder that played before 2012. At any point. He could have retired. He had to have retired.
Juan Pierre.
Let's just make he had to play at least one game prior to 2012. Let's go with that. A random left fielder in Major League Baseball.
I don't know why Juan Pierre was the first one that came to mind, but I like that.
Juan Pierre.
He played center too, but he also played left. Remember, he'd steal like 60 bases.
I thought Jason Bay.
Jason Bay. I'm sure
Yeah.
Mets fans love hearing that name.
Yeah.
That's what they're thinking of, by the way. I hope you know that. When Juan Soto continues to struggle, even though the numbers don't support that.
Yeah,
it's gonna
Shelly
continue.
Duncan. Shelly Duncan, that's a banger. By the way, Rick, thank you
Yeah.
for getting involved. Make sure you put this in the real chat, too, after we're done with our live, so it actually appears. But, yeah, Shelly Duncan is a banger right there.
Damn, Juan Pierre hit 18 home runs in 14 years. I'm telling you, this guy is
It was like an earthquake every time.
No, more earthquakes occurred in one state
my.
from that time of his
That's
career
crazy.
than he hit home runs. 295, 704 OPS for his career. Yeah, 18 homers. He was just, I'm going to get on base and I'm going to steal the shit out of the bases. He led the league three different times, 68, 65, and 46. So, yeah. 614 stolen bases for his career. Averaged 50 a year. But, yeah.
Well, you better. If you don't hit any homers, you better be stealing bags. So, again, guys, random left fielder had the catch. It cannot be a player today. Had to have played before 2012 at any point. I'm looking forward to reading some of these. So far, Shelly Duncan is by far the best. That's historic right there.
Yep. And like the video.